All right, thanks, Brad. Welcome everyone back to part two of our Sherwood City Council work session on October 21st, 2025. It is 7:30 and we have one more item to talk about before we go into executive session, and that's to discuss memorial dedication options. So Kristen,
Okay,
either way.
so as you mentioned, we are here to discuss some naming or memorial options for Linda Henderson. Just for those people who may be listening, Linda served on council for many, many years, 12? 12 years.
I was trying to get in.
Oh. So she devoted many years to public service, helping shape Sherwood's parks, arts, and civic programs. Her leadership, generosity, and commitment to community left an enduring mark on Sherwood's civic life. Following her passing in 2025, this last spring, both council and community members have expressed an interest in a lasting public tribute that reflects her values, character, and legacy of service. So the purpose of this evening is to just talk about a structured approach for council to consider of naming or dedicating a public space or feature in Linda Henderson's memory, and ensure that it aligns with her community values, public benefit, Linda's areas of impact, specifically focusing on the arts, parks, and civic engagement. So we really looked at a couple different options. We could consider a major city facility such as the Sherwood Center for the Arts. You could look at community rooms, other public spaces or civic buildings, parks or park features, and then also potentially public art installations or landscaped memorial spaces. So the first option that we came up with to be considered was renaming the stage, which you can kind of see in the background. Right now, there's a big sign that says Stella Olson Memorial Park. That could be changed potentially to either Linda Henderson Community Stage or Linda Henderson Stage, whatever the council desired there. The thinking behind this is Linda was one of the founding members of the Sherwood Foundation for the Arts and spent many, many hours and summers really down in the park helping produce plays. So this felt like this could be a very fitting tribute. So that was the first option that we kind of came up with. The second option that we came up with was something at Snyder Park. This was another place that Linda was on the Parks Board at the time that Snyder Park was designed and developed. And she was pivotal in really coming up with some of the features of the park and participating in the design process. So a couple options up there, you could name the shelter, you could have a dedication plaque, or you could have some type of signage on the shelter itself. You could also think of creating a community garden or a memorial garden type of spot, a butterfly garden, whatever it is that you wanted to do that had a bench and a dedicated area within the park for her. Just trying to provide options. The third option that we talked about is potentially renaming the Center for the Arts to the Linda Henderson Center for the Arts or some version of that, whichever council chose. Again, this is another project that she was very involved with. We sat on the design team together to come up with all of the features and the design for the Center of the Arts, and then her input from not just from City Council, but from her SFA background was very important and taken into and played a huge role in getting that facility built. So really, those are the three options, or four technically, that we came up with. If there's others that you would like us to look into, we sure can do that. But those seem to be the most fitting tributes for the types of activities that she participated in and were important to her. So really, we just wanted to have a conversation, get some feedback, depending on what is discussed, we can work on some costing and estimates and design and go from there.
Great questions.
Dan, did you have? You looked at me, you know?
I was, yeah, so I haven't been on the city council when we've done this before. And so thinking about this, I guess I'm curious, what have we done in the past for community members? And has there been any criteria like set forth for this as far as like what the memorial is? I guess is it based off of who the mayor
We
is
just
or?
We just named the Mirabelle. Were you not on council when we did that one?
Oh, it's everything. Sorry, we did the stage.
Mirabelle Theater Room. Yeah, there's no stuff, there's
Or
no.
an elected.
Oh,
For an elected, nothing.
Okay.
We've done some stuff for, like we've done park benches for,
Mhm.
we did one for altar
yeah.
up at Snyder Park, you know, for individuals. But nothing for an elected, you know, and I guess my comment would be, when I think about Linda's, you know, I've lived in the town since '98. And when I look around, Linda, it's not just her service on council, you know, the work she did in terms of parks, Foundation for the Arts, and, her work had just crossed so many I mean, she just touched everything, and it's hard to find someone who volunteers today that probably looks back and finds out I know I am a volunteer because of Linda, you know, in the city. In my mind, there's few people that kind of rise to that level. You know, we've had some great electeds, we've had some great, you know, people that, like the VPA is a great example where they've done great work in the VPA, but she's just spanned so many areas, you know, in what she's given to this community. So in terms to your question about a process, we talked about that, and I don't know, how do you have a process for this? Cause
Let's try,
yeah, it's like.
I know.
It's not very often
we
it's
have
processed to this level.
we've adopted processes for naming roads, naming parks. But at the end of the day, even if we have a process for those things, the council can do whatever they want. And they just need to explain the rationale, or they don't even have to explain the rationale, ultimately.
I think if you had a process and it said something like, oh, if you were an elected official for X amount of years, or that could be a lot of people, and that could be some people who didn't have an impact that somebody else had. So how do you gauge that?
yeah, well, I don't wanna also like. I don't think it's the right word, but like dishonor the people that we have memorialized in the past as well, like.
Well, it is a difficult, whatever you do, it's gonna be criticized. And trying to put things in balance is impossible. As the community grows, you know, the easy things for a city council to name are structures. Roads, if the road isn't got development on it yet, maybe. Because once it gets development, then you know, all of a sudden, say we're gonna rename Sherwood Boulevard,
It's a cost.
Craig Boulevard. There's
Craig's Way.
yeah.
Craig's Way.
So
Okay.
So is there, and again, I also totally think that Linda was a remarkable, one of a kind person. With that being said, do we run out of buildings? Like, when we start recognizing people, we talked at some point about doing medallions and a water on her or something, and if I were gonna choose from those three, this is kind of weird about this, is that, you know, art center versus, like, I kind of feel like at Snyder Park, looking over the whole city is, like, I kind of imagine her being, like, cause I associate her with not just the arts, but like all sorts of things about Sherwood. And so it's hard to just say, yeah, it's, although I was in a play with her at that park, so it's, I think of her there, but you think of her in the whole city, right? And so,
As you mentioned, when you were talking about Stella Olson Park and the amphitheater down there, it reminded me of the story she told me, because when they would do the musicals down there, they called that Gilligan's Island, because it technically is an island, so the name popped into my head, reading it Linda's Island. But I don't know, I started thinking about it in terms of like, if Linda is the bar, I don't think we're gonna run out, because, I can't think of, someone that rises to that bar. After being here since 1998, it's just, I think they're few and far between.
Yeah, when I thought about it, what first really struck me was the stage, and I don't know if we technically can call it, but could we call it an amphitheater? I mean, the idea of it
Reservation for, so yes.
is of it being the Linda Henderson Amphitheater. Because it connects passion for parks and her passion for arts, and it's something that is very visible and will be seen, forever. That was what really drew me first of without even having a list of just talking through things. So since it really hit both buckets, that hit me. But
have I don't know, is the Olson family still?
Stella Olson Park.
No, I know, but would they care if, I mean, we're taking Stella Olson Memorial Park. We're taking her name off of that, even though we didn't call, you know what I mean? We didn't call the amphitheater that, but have they weighed in? I don't know the Olson family, so I don't
So
know.
that'd be my question. What is the story behind the naming of that park and the?
So I don't know for sure the story of the naming, except that the family had dedicated a lot of the land. The shelter or the stage cover, we put up 17 years ago,
Yeah.
and we put the name on it.
Right.
So I wouldn't feel like we're taking anything away that we had given to them. That was just, what else are we gonna put there?
Yeah.
And so it was just, there's still the naming of the park sign on the
Yeah.
road. It would just be renaming that portion. We didn't
Yeah.
work with the family at all on that.
It's not a terrain, that's Stella Olson Park.
Yeah, I
like
just-
That
Yeah, I just didn't wanna,
amphitheater.
they paid for it, or they donated the land
No.
40 years ago.
Yeah.
Reverse stage. I like amphitheater.
That was
Like
just, what else are we gonna put there?
Yeah.
Levels it up.
Mhm.
That was, the
Advertising.
amphitheater was one of the first ideas that popped into my head too. I'm also not opposed to the boring name of Sherwood Center for the Arts, why we name things boring like that, but it could be, but a lot of times I know you name buildings after somebody who's donated money or things like that, but we named a theater hall in there after Mira Bowie, a high school student who had tremendous impact on the youth and the plays that she was in, and her family does a lot of volunteers work as well. So I don't see a problem with naming the building after somebody who's done as much as Linda
Mhm.
in our community.
That's where my head is. I love the park idea, but she was also heavily involved in bringing the art center to our community, and did an incredible amount of work and fought for it, and
When we were trying to figure it, back in the day, when it was on the list of URA, I challenged Linda and Robin both to, create a business plan. What would that look like so that it has the maximum opportunity to succeed? So that when we had the money to cobble together to do it, we'd do it. And they worked tirelessly, and then Bill Butterfield got in the loop. And then we bought the building to remodel, and then did the test when concrete was bad and had to.
and she not only helped deliver the building, she helped make it work,
Yeah.
so it's Sherwood Foundation for the Arts, the Friends for the Arts Center.
Yeah.
She was heavily involved with that.
I don't think so.
She was,
I don't think she was on the Friends.
I thought she was on the.
It was initially.
Yeah, I thought she helped.
Initially, but not in recent years.
So the idea of, the Henderson Center for the Arts, or something like that, Linda Henderson Center for the
The
Arts.
arts.
This is a dumb thing to think about, but.
You talk about branding.
No. Does it make it harder to find, right, when I Google it?
The same thought, because it's so, SFA is something that rolls off everybody's tongue. I actually had that.
You mean
Yeah.
Sherwood Center.
Center for the Arts, I'm just saying.
The Beaverton, it's the Reese,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
most
or research.
centers are named. Usually they're named too.
It'll take some
Okay.
learning.
All right.
Probably.
And then you also brought up, Robin's involvement with that as well, and again,
My next
Well,
question was
look-
gonna be, would there be somebody who might feel slighted because we're naming it over them? And
and I don't wanna wish
I
ill.
think a conversation, huh?
That feels like a bigger naming than the amphitheater.
For sure.
For sure.
And so along with what you're like. I don't know the answer to your question.
I mean, I would love to have a conversation with probably Robin to get some of her input on all that were involved in that and what their thoughts might be.
But
I think part of the test for me is you're always gonna have someone in the community that doesn't like it, right? But kind of filtering out the noise. For people that kind of understand the history, would they go, oh yeah, that's right, and that's kind of my test, is how's the community gonna view it? I don't know. I like my position as the art center, because I think there's just few people that rise to the level that Linda rose to in terms of what she gave to this community. It's really hard to find someone that's done as much.
That would be my top choice, maybe with a caveat of reaching out to some other people that were involved in that to get their opinions. My second choice would be the Stella Olson to be Linda Henderson Amphitheater. And then I'm wondering, because that is kind of back in the park, right? As if out in front where we had the Stella Olson sign, there could be something that said, and the Linda Henderson
Oh, sure.
Amphitheater.
Yeah, the sign up, if you went with the amphitheater, you definitely need signage on the street.
And
Do a plaque of who she was.
yeah, and by the way, you notice that wording on that amphitheater when you drive by, it is, I always see it and I'm always like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
And that's why I didn't want to rip it, but my first choice would probably be the Stella Olson Park. Mainly because of some of the concerns, again, I go, okay, well, Robin was on council then too, and she brought the whole, for a decade and a half, brought the musical theater program to the school, so do they name it, and that's where we go like, okay, they're both great, they both really contributed to the city. I don't know, so. But that would be my first choice, and also to Councilor May's, your point that with the amphitheater, it is also part of the parks, which I knew she loved with, and I think I met her first when we were picking up at a park or something, picking trash up, so. I don't know.
Doug?
Yeah, I'm good with either of these options. I think my first choice would be the art center, and to the naming thing, we could call it the Linda Henderson Sherwood Center for the Arts. So we could still have, the Sherwood Center for the Arts piece in there for wayfinding, but that'd be my first choice. I would want to have staff or other, people on council, if they're the right people, to do just to reach out to the other key people, just to make sure that it's, look, you're never going to get unanimity across the entire community, but I think everyone knows if there's 3 or 4 other people who also played a strong role, let's consult with them, make sure it's all kosher, but that would be my choice. But I'm good with the backup option as the amphitheater as well.
I would volunteer to meet maybe with Kristen, with Robin, and then get Connor, whoever else that would be. I would totally volunteer to get input on that. And
Yeah. My gut is to have that conversation, and I would do the same order of preferences what Doug just stated. I think at the end of the day, honoring and celebrating her, we can't make a mistake.
Yeah.
We can't, we,
I don't wanna do something that's gonna cause an eruption in the community because it's, you know, there's gonna be more people who aren't happy with it. Whatever we do, I want I want the community to be excited and happy with what we're doing.
It's a smart idea to talk to some of those other folks and see what they think.
My preference is Stella Olson, the amphitheater. I'm not opposed to the Sherwood Center for the Arts renaming. But I do really like the idea of the connection that
Yeah.
you brought up of the parks and the arts together. Because she was so influential in all those capacities. So that'd be my preference.
yeah, I like them both. I absolutely like them both.
I can't remember if you weighed in, Dan.
Oh, I know her putting up plays down at the park, and so that's where I, you know, want her memorialized.
Of course, those plays then move to
I think I already weighed in.
Really have them both, yeah.
Again, six of one, half a dozen another. I would say park first and then the art center. If mainly because even now among this table, we call it the art center. We kind of shorten it anyway. And I kind of like, I can just see her name in silver letters on that thing and just every time you drive by thinking Linda built, you know what I mean? It's just for me, it seems like that's what I would say first, but I can be convinced the other way too. And I think because, you know, and Robin was part of it. I think there's others that were too, certainly, but.
Robin and Linda were one too.
They worked together on SFA and everything else for so long. I can't imagine her being like, wow, this is the worst thing ever, you know, and so that's what I don't think you're gonna get people going, especially from her saying, oh yeah, you can't do, you know what I mean? Like, and so I don't, but I would at least talk. I think it's probably courtesy, but.
But also an opinion of one versus the other as
Yeah,
well,
maybe.
and I think her feedback would be.
Yeah, she'd be happy to give it.
Yeah. No.
So
So,
I'd put it in the mayor and council president's hands of having conversations outside of this and then bringing a resolution. One or the other.
Do we want to get the results and have another work session, or we can have Kristen just talk to you individually?
I hate to bring this up as well. Is there a matter of cost? I mean, does it matter? Is one significantly more expensive than the other or?
How the signage would change on the art center, I don't know how that would. We filled the space on the one beam with the name and had to sort that out, but I gotta believe the money.
Probably a wash.
Probably pretty comparable, I would imagine.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. Cause it might be more on the art center, but then it's gonna be more difficult, definitely not impossible to
Yeah.
change it on.
And you're
Right,
gonna get an
yeah.
additional sign and stuff at the park too, so they probably, yeah.
That would.
I don't know what the letter
And
is.
then it goes to the point of if it ended up being the art center way, then you're definitely not stepping on any Olsen family toes. So you're avoiding that. I mean, I don't think it's really that much of a stepping on toes, but in some corners, it could be viewed that way.
Yeah.
Do you guys want another work session, or do you want, just to, from the outcome of the conversations, to bring an idea forward, or in weeklies? Kristen can, like review the
For
information.
a short work session.
It's good, cause it helps
Take that
conversation.
We
long.
could also work on, I don't know how much it matters, but like mock-ups of what they would both look like. Potentially, you know, and see how that would work spacing wise and what's visible.
Style neon.
Right.
Roll options. Yeah.
If that would be really good, because as the more I think about it, that arch, when you start to put, you know, Linda Henderson
Amphitheater.
Amphitheater, that's a lot more words. It's there.
Right now it says what?
Yeah.
It's Stella.
So this is
Stella
Stella Olson
Olson
Memorial
Memorial
Park.
Oh, that should be blended then.
I
Yeah.
have to look at it.
In fact, you could I mean, you could shorten it to stage if you don't want to be pretentious.
No, we don't want stage, that's boring.
Yeah.
I wanna be pretentious. All right,
All right.
have our walking orders.
Okay,
Sounds good.
we'll get it on the agenda.
Sorry, Dan.
No, that's right. Just like one thing at the end of this conversation, you know, unfortunately, Linda has passed, which is why we're discussing this. We have community members who have done immense things for our city who are still living. Is there
A mechanism.
yeah, for that, to honor these people before they pass so that they can have that honor or well, they're still.
Have a process
Keep
for
getting
like
the key to the city.
benches.
Years ago, there was actually, and Keith, you might remember, a citizen of note policy. Do you remember this? Which used to first go through Parks Board and then to council. But it was, someone from the city could, from the citizens, could apply, fill out an application and say, has somebody's contributions been to the city? And then the Parks Board was supposed to weigh in if they were worthy of being a citizen of note, which they felt very uncomfortable doing.
Right.
They're like, well, who are we to decide who gets to be recognized here? So we did away with that policy and adopted a new policy where there could be bench naming, shelter naming through a memorial donation policy through the Parks Board, and then council adopted it as well. That's how we did Alter Wiener. And there's a fee associated with it, so somebody can still fill out an application. If they fill out the application and pay the fee, as long as they haven't done something horrible, we don't care. We're not judging who gets to be on a bench and who doesn't.
Is that how, so at Stella Olson up near the bathrooms, there's a plaque on a rock.
So that was before those days, but yeah, that's even older, but yeah.
We do
And
have,
there's the Robin Hood Garden area right there, or is that what they call it? Cause that came up before with them redoing those
our Parks
blocks.
Department has a brick engraver, don't we, for over the Veterans Park? I mean, could we create a walk of notable citizens or something, or?
We have a company that we use to engrave the
Okay.
bricks for Veterans Park, yeah.
But like, again, we could do something like that where we, you know, give them a certificate here at City Hall and give them a brick and have it be out the Walk of Fame and have a little thing about it. Because we talked about doing that with the medallions, right? To be able to say, hey, let's make it be a feature of Old Town or something, but I don't think we got that far yet.
That could be something we consider for that gravel lot as we look at how to expand that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just in general, if anybody is wanting to suggest things, I don't know, I think it's from I think it's just to have a conversation, bring it up, say, hey, you know, if it's internally generated. Then if it's external, then let them talk to whoever and say, you know, Bob is great, you know, let's talk about Bob. We don't have a process beyond that. I mean, the bricks of a path, these medallion potentially and projects and trails or something. Those are all wonderful type of opportunities. And big stuff, historically, we haven't named big stuff. You know, other than parks, we put names on parks.
And that's usually people have donated the land type things. Or-
So Woodhaven was geography. Snyder was not political, excuse me, was public, suggestion. Because it was Sunset Park, and then the Snyder family didn't donate the land, we condemned it. Or not we, but the city did, but it was before I never voted to condemn it. But the city condemned it because they didn't want to sell.
Oh. Didn't know that part.
But Linda pushed to have it named after them.
Yes, it was a petition, there was a community
Yeah.
petition to change to name it, Snyder, and it was supported by council when my first year as mayor.
I'd love to rename Woodhaven Park Dump Truck Park.
That's what everybody calls it.
So that's why there is a loose park naming policy. And we have a street naming policy when developers are picking names for streets. But ultimately, the city council can name a road, whatever they want to name it. We had to change a name 15 years ago of a road off of Oregon. And we got tried to get some input from that community because it had an ampersand in the name, and the emergency services couldn't find the road with an ampersand in the name.
Technology.
True story. So that's why it's called Brickyard.
Like, we could have a conversation.
It's Brickyard, and I think we named something else. Yeah, it was G and T was the word that became Brickyard.
Well,
And it's not gin and tonic.
I have had a lot of people ask me what we're gonna name the bridge. I mean, and I'm not suggesting naming anything right now, but that's another potential landmark down the road. So.
We had-
Sherwood Pedestrian Bridge, or so original.
Bowman Bridge.
I have a pretty good idea.
What?
You can't say you have an idea, then not tell us.
Oh, you can do whatever you want. The,
All right.
Oh, I think we lost him.
Lost him.
all right, so we good
So I
for
think
this?
Kristen, you're good? You got that?
Yes, thank you.
Awesome. So now we will go into executive session.
So Doug, do you have a different Zoom for the exec session? It's gone.
Yeah, I was gonna say, can you hear us?
Maybe more than that.
Pretty good on time.